Hello, geometry students. I hope you're having a wonderful day. We're going to do some really short notes on lines of symmetry. We're going to call this section 4.4, lines of symmetry. Section 4.4 in your book actually has a different topic on transformations, but it doesn't really lend itself very well to our scrapbook project. So I'm stealing some material from section 4.2 and putting it here. So if you look on the assignment list and you think, gee, 4.4 in the book is a different topic, that's because we're kind of switching it up because of making this a chapter based almost primarily on just the artwork. So I'm going to call this section 4.4, even though that's not technically what's in 4.4 in your book. This material is included in 4.2. So we're just going to use it here for purposes of this particular unit. So our topic is lines of symmetry, and again you're going to be taking notes. We're just going to do 3 examples, and then you're going to get 5 points for showing me a copy of the notes, and then 5 points for picking out the picture that meets the requirements for your scrapbook for a line of symmetry. And in this particular case, it's going to be any kind of company logo that has a line of symmetry, and we will talk about that during our Zoom session. So I'd like to read to you the definition of a line of symmetry. You do not need to write this down. All I'm going to need you to write down for your notes is the 3 examples. So a figure in a plane has a line of symmetry when the figure can be mapped onto itself by a reflection in a line. What this means in essence is if you can draw a line through the figure such that the left-hand side of the line and the right-hand side of the line are mirror images of each other, then that is a line of symmetry. And we're going to do some specific examples of it. The line of reflection is called a line of symmetry, and a figure can have more than one line of symmetry. So let's just do 3 short examples of lines of symmetry. For the first example, we're going to draw something which I guess you could call more like an arrow shape. So just on your notes, go ahead and draw this shape right here. So that might be a large arrow pointing the way to something. Can you see where the line of symmetry would be on this figure? The line of symmetry is going to go right down the middle here. So if this arrow was on a piece of paper and I folded the piece of paper over, this part of the head of the arrow would match up with this part, and this part of the band of the arrow would match up with that part right there. So that would be an example of a figure with one line of symmetry. We can't have a vertical line of symmetry here because if we did and we folded this part of the arrow up, we would not have a mirror image on the left and the right there. Okay, let's do example number 2. Example number 2, this is really basic, but let's do a rectangle. So a rectangle would have 2 lines of symmetry. See if you can see where they would be on this shape. One line of symmetry would be going through the middle of the rectangle this way, and then another line of symmetry would be going through the rectangle this way. It might look like we could do a line of symmetry along the diagonals, but if you cut out a rectangle on a piece of paper and tried drawing a line of across the diagonal here and folded the top over the right, they would not match up. This figure only has 2 lines of symmetry. Okay, let's do one last example. And I'll use my black pen for that. So example number 3. I'm going to draw what you might describe as a cross. So I'd like to look at the lines of symmetry on this shape here. Again, if you want to take a second and draw what you think might work here. This figure actually has several lines of symmetry. Many figures do. You can draw one line of symmetry horizontally like we've done on the last 2 figures. You can draw another one vertically, like we did with the rectangle. But because of the way this cross is laid out, you can also draw, in this case, draw a line of symmetry through the diagonals. So there would actually be 4 lines of symmetry on this figure. Now, when you draw your line of symmetry, on your logo, I am going to ask you to do a solid line of symmetry. I just did the dotted lines here so that you could still see the picture on the board, hopefully a little more clearly. Anyway, that's it for 4.4 notes. Thanks, guys. Bye.